Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I'm Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and right over there is that John guy. He's our resident millennial. John, how are you doing?
Not too great. Kind of demoralized at the moment. A bit of
D
roller coaster of emotions this week.
Really?
Yeah,
Demoralized. That's a big
right.
word. It's got lots of syllables.
It
What
does.
does demoralized mean for John, the millennial?
Um, like hopelessness, almost being overwhelmed.
Would you say you're melancholy, sir?
No,
No,
I don't
not
think I'm
melancholy.
melancholy.
We have a you're
No,
not that okay. Okay. All right.
no.
Then we're okay. We can step back from the edge then. Okay. Uh, welcome to the show this evening, folks. I see we have Henry in the chat, our first and foremost, as always. It's good to see you tonight. We are coming at you after a one might call it a crazy week. Um, Possibly. Would you call it crazy, John?
I would, yeah,
A little chaotic.
a little bit,
A little
a
bit of
little bit.
a little bit of a reality check.
I think a little bit of validation
Uh,
is what I would say, but an unfortunate one.
hmm,
One that you don't want to be right about.
hmm. Well,
Yeah.
that's an interesting take. I guess we can probably delve into that, folks. If you are just joining us, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it already, and make sure and hit the like button. It looks like this, and it's okay to hit that. There are no ill effects from hitting that button. No, underlying diseases will be triggered.
Well, you might
Um,
go on a list, though. So
yeah,
just a list of people who liked the video. That's all.
a list
Nothing
of
nefarious.
people who proclaim that they have opposable thumbs. That's really all that does. If you have
Good list to be
opposable
on.
thumbs, you should click that button. That's what that says. We are not primates. We are not animals, but we are. Uh, so John, let's see. It's it, it all started Wednesday. It all started with no.
Yeah,
Did it all start with
yeah.
no? I think the
It
this
started kind of Tuesday. I think Tuesday with the anticipation.
you know what? I believe this all started actually in around, I don't know, 17 something. 17, somewhere in the 1700s.
1789.
Somewhere in the
Yeah,
1700s.
1789 when the
Well, before
Constitution went
that,
into effect.
even before that, there was a little bit of a little bit of a skirmish, if you will. Uh,
Thought
you
more of a
know,
scuffle than anything else. I
right?
mean,
Where we decided we wanted to set up this thing. This
an
thing we wanted
autonomous
to.
zone, right?
We didn't want a babysitter anymore, right?
Right.
We just wanted the run of the house for ourselves. We could do what we wanted to be able to do what we wanted. Um, well, then we can fast forward, and so I don't know, John. We've had what, a couple of days to digest all of this, let
Yeah.
things roll out, let reactions happen, let it sink in. So, what is your overall take on what happened at the Capitol building?
Um, I think that a bunch of LARPers fucked everybody, fucked it for the rest of us. I think is what happened. Not that I'm saying that it was unavoidable that we would be fucked. I think they just accelerated it.
So, so now when you say a bunch of larpers, are you basically? I believe what we would have called them back in my day was posers,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Um, so they took something good and they made a shit show out of it. Am I correct?
They
Would
yeah
you agree with
they
that?
right. They were LARPing as revolutionaries and just ended up, you know, like I was talking about before the show. Just doing photo shoots and trashing the place, but they didn't do anything.
Right. Nothing was accomplished, right?
Right. And then they were
Um,
just, yeah, they were easily led away after they were inside for a little while. And then that was it. What's happened since?
um, do you so would you say that they failed to have their voices heard
Oh, yeah.
as
And
well?
not only did they fail to have their voices heard, but they've opened the gateway, which, don't get me wrong, like, and Henry, as Henry correctly points out, we were fucked regardless. But what I'm saying is it accelerated it. Now, everybody, everybody on the right's voice, basically, is not going to be heard for quite a while. There's going to be none of that,
Um,
except for
well,
people small like us, flying under the radar. As long as we do,
right. Um,
yeah.
well, let me ask you this, okay? So this question um, is, you know, I understand the from the standpoint of a you know the constitutionality of standing up to tyranny, right? I
Mhm.
understand that. I understand protest. I also understand even acting against tyranny, being and if it's just if you're if that's what you're after, right? If you're fighting against tyranny, and
Mhm.
I could agree, uh, or understand the point where a lot of people are sitting out there thinking they're living in a tyrannical situation. I could see that
Mhm.
to a certain extent. Um, but in watching what happened, in seeing the different things as it unfolded, is there any way to not equate this event with the same things that were going on in the BLM riots, with the vandalism, the looting, the
Um,
the
it wasn't to
aggression?
this. Right.
It
I disagree that it was as aggressive, and it certainly they didn't have the same numbers or widespread destruction that
okay.
BLM riots have. I don't. That's also much less organized than a BLM riot is.
Well,
That was another
the
thing. Was it
initial
was
ones were not the first ones weren't really organized, right? When the looting first started,
right. Well, they
right?
also weren't doing as much. Yeah, yeah,
Right. But
yeah.
I guess my point, how do how could these this situation possibly be separated logically in the minds of people that see that they did the same thing inside the Capitol building that people were doing during the BLM riots? um, you know how can how do we condemn one but not the other?
Okay. Yeah.
How do we do that? How do we sell that to the American public?
Okay. They went in there with a clear, not not obviously not in an organized way, but they went in there with like a clear objective, which I think, in my opinion, was to be heard. I don't think they were in there to harm anybody because almost no one got harmed, other than the one girl who died, and that was due to that was
Actually,
she was breaking in
five people died
total.
total.
And the inside, like during that time or later
There,
on.
within the time after the Capitol was breached, she died. And then there were three other people that died from various, and I can't remember exactly what they were, but two of them I think were outside. Another one was somebody that was inside. But then there was also a cop that died. I believe it was either yesterday or today, from a head injury taken from being hit by a
Was
fire
he
extinguisher.
inside?
Yes,
Was he
inside.
inside the Capitol
Inside.
building?
He was
Oh,
inside.
okay,
He got hit by a fire extinguisher inside. So,
right,
but I mean, nobody. That's not going to be separated by the mainstream media. They're not really going to get into too
right.
much
Of
fine
course not.
detail.
Yeah, yeah.
It was all, there's the protest and what happened inside the Capitol building. It's going to be hard to get a distinct separation out of mainstream media for that, right? Because there were a lot of
Right. Well, I'm
peaceful
not trying to.
people outside.
Yeah, I'm not trying to convince the mainstream media. They
No,
know.
no, no.
They
But
know
what I'm saying is, this is you have. I think we need to really remember the fact that this is what the American
right.
public is going to be sold. This is how it's
Okay,
going to
yeah.
be
So let's look at
presented
the
to them.
difference. Let's look at the difference in the targets between the two. Right, one had a grievance with a particular group of people, and they went after those people and left everyone else alone. Whereas BLM just kind of burned down whatever's near them and loot whatever stores haven't been burned down yet, which has no clear objective. There's no clear target. It's just unbridled rage and destruction for the sake of.
But the people that they were going after had, I mean, when it's all said and done, had no control over anything other than confirming the election results that were given to them.
Right, well, it wasn't. It wasn't about Trump at that point. It wasn't. That was
But
that. What?
for the people
Right, right.
there, it was about Trump.
No, no, no. It really wasn't. It
I mean,
was.
it was
That was
being done
just
in his name, and that's
okay.
more the
Yeah, sure,
problem.
sure. Right. So the difference is they had spent, and I think we went over this on Wednesday. They had spent the last 5 years being demonized, drugged through the media, at
Sure.
deplorable, racist, Nazi, all this other nonsense, and they just stood by. And then the coronavirus thing happened. BLM and Antifa were out burning down cities. Everybody just kind of stood by and let it happen. And no one did anything against it. And then the few times that that happened, that person was destroyed. Their entire careers, their entire livelihoods, their futures were destroyed. Talking about like Nick Sandman and Kyle Rittenhouse, like those kind of people. Their entire, lives were destroyed as soon as they dared to do anything. So, I mean, I can absolutely see. And then, of course, the coronavirus came, shut everything down. People have been in their houses for 10 months. And, businesses are destroyed, if not by BLM, then by the fact that they can't operate. You know what I mean? Like, these people have taken quite a lot. And that Pence saying that I'm not going to, or that I can't, decertify the election results, that was just a straw that broke the camel's back. That wasn't the reason.
But
And it
if
had nothing to do with Trump personally. He was just, I guess, a symbol or a figurehead
right.
to rally behind. It had nothing to do with Trump other than that.
Now, so are we? Do we now when we talk about the Mike Pence part in this? Do
Mhm.
we do we go on the assumption that he wasn't being straightforward when he said that, or do we go on the assumption that he actually did have it checked out by lawmakers in Washington,
I
which
don't
they
think
say,
that's,
which and who came back to him and said no, that this is not possible, that you're not
yeah.
allowed to do this.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's relevant at this point.
I
I
mean,
think the match has been struck,
right?
and
So
it just needs to just needs to hit its mark. That's it.
just the simple fact that it was the very last opportunity for anything to change in the election,
Yeah,
and being told that everyone's hands were tied. That's it.
yeah.
There's nothing
Especially
else to hold
because
us back.
regardless of what anyone thinks, those people think that, and regardless of whether or not it was, those people think that the election was stolen and rigged from the beginning, and that they were going to get their justice. They didn't get to see a day in court. Everyone ignored them and did the same shit they've been doing for the past 5 years, and calling them conspiracy theorists, whatever else, other kind of stuff you want to talk about, have them, say about them or whatever. I'm telling you, that was just it. That was just a straw that back, and they couldn't take it anymore.
So I wonder, and we'll come back to talking. I want to jump into the see what's going on in the chat a little bit, but I do wonder if maybe if the people had gotten together in a concerted effort and filed a lawsuit and like found an attorney that wasn't you know a loose cannon Trump candidate lawyer type. Um, I don't know. Maybe they could have brought something, a grievance to the courts that the courts would have listened to. Anyway, Henry says the we were fucked regardless. regardless.
Right.
He says he's happy it happened. Shitty results is showing the true colors of the government.
I mean,
Patience
while
and
that's true, we're going to be going through a lot of shit over the next 4 to 8 years. You're going to see what we saw today on, Twitter and Facebook and all that. We're seeing accounts being just completely destroyed. We're going to be seeing a lot of that. We're going to see the pressure of the alt media, Parler, Gab, those guys, those minds, those guys are going to be wiped out pretty soon. It's
right.
it's going to be monopolistic. And especially since what the Democrats now control the House, Senate, and the executive branch, or the entire executive branch. That's, I mean,
They're in
yeah,
complete control.
right.
I
They're in
mean,
complete control.
well, as far
And then, which,
as
and of course, Silicon Valley's been on their side since the beginning. I mean, we're absolutely fucked. We have completely lost.
well, there is the hope. I mean, it's a 50-50 split in the
Man,
Senate, so Kamala Harris is the deciding vote. So
there you go.
maybe there's a little bit of hope. No. Henry says
Yeah,
patience and peace is what has ultimately brought us to this point. People are acting
right.
like one event ruined any possible progress. Now, I'm not saying it ruined any possible progress. I think that this is really,
It
it's,
accelerated.
it's, yeah, it's interesting because, like, right, you're going to have to accelerate anything that we're going to do, but the
Right.
scrutiny to watch for anything possible being coordinated or done is probably insane right now.
Yeah.
Voting and diplomacy has got us nowhere. Ed's in the house tonight. He says the chat is ready
What's up,
to
Ed?
display messages. Henry, what happened on the 6th literally just sped up what was inevitable, just like coronavirus
Yeah.
sped up the economic collapse that's coming. One of the
Right.
protesters tasered himself to death.
Yeah, he did.
That's fucking.
So, but that's one
Why?
of those five deaths of joy
Yeah,
that you're talking about,
quite
and he did it to
possibly.
himself. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, there really wasn't, yeah. Anyway, it's not. Again,
Well,
it doesn't matter.
I'm
Uh,
not a fan of anybody dying in that.
Oceania had always
In
been
a,
at war with Eurasia. You guys, the same.
he says, I'm surprised QAnon didn't catch on to Pence being reptilian. J. Edgar uses tampon is also with us tonight over on D Live. He says, are you
What's
guys
up?
right wing? No, but we do have wings. That's what makes us
I
unique.
have not had my Red Bull, so I don't think I even have wings right now.
You've not had a Red Bull? Have you earned your red
Not today.
wings?
Yeah, that's true. I have.
If,
So fair enough. Red Wings. Yeah. So maybe is that right wing? I guess.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Henry says no, they're chicken wing, the best kind of wing. Never mind, that was stuck.
True.
Ed's used tampon says never mind, that was stuck there. Question wasn't for you guys.
But you got your answer.
uh,
Either way.
Jay Egger says trust the plan, John. There's still one weird way Trump could win. Trust the plan.
Politicians hate him.
Yeah,
So
he
look
can
at
only
this
win
one
if
weird trick.
he can only win if he gets his Twitter account back.
Right.
Edgar says just look at this video with 6 unskippable 60-second ads that can get around your ad blocker.
Right.
um,
For real, man. Oh my god.
so
Shit, it's gonna be bad.
a lot of the talk this week immediately shifted to, yes, they talked about impeachment, but they also talked about enacting Article 25. What is it, the third or
Right.
fourth provision? The fourth provision, I think it is, in Article 25, in which the Mike Pence could basically say that he's not fit for office, and they take him out of the picture. He asked for a vote of no faith, basically,
Right.
from Congress, and if they agree, psh, Trump's gone, and Pence takes over. They've asked for that. Some are asking, just directly asking for Trump to resign. And
I
so
don't think he's gonna resign.
no,
I think it's in him to do that.
I did believe I saw that they said something that it's been confirmed that he won't be at Biden's inauguration. I'm like, well,
Yes,
big
he tweeted that
surprise,
out. He
big
tweeted that out
surprise,
before his account got suspended.
right?
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't be surprised. He has nothing to gain from being there. Nothing whatsoever.
right. So I do, I ran into this question again when they're talking about doing these things because, right, if they're going to bring up the question, then you have to ask the question or you're not doing your due diligence, right? But the question
Hmm.
is, you know, was he responsible? Was in any way for inciting this situation? which is going to be the focal point, right? That's going to be the big crux of it: is did he incite the situation at the Capitol building? By his speech where he told them, "You've got to be strong, you've got to fight, you've got to, we've got to stand up and do what needs to be done," kind of rah rah bullshit. So now there was a Donald Trump Jr. also. um, he was on Twitter right before like things started popping off at the Capitol building, and he's like, him and his girlfriend are in there, and they're like, fight, fight, and I'm like, okay, were they inciting? Now I don't think you believe that really constitutes inciting
No,
any
like
kind
not up
of
to my interpretation.
right
But
incite.
yeah, I don't think that counts because if that's the case, then it's talking about you get to arrest or get rid of every politician that has ever used the word fight during one of their speeches. That didn't have to do with violence. They're talking about, we need to come out and fight on this day. It's about, like, I guess, the context of it, right? They were fighting to be heard,
Right.
not fighting in a physical sense. I don't think that in any just court that wouldn't hold up.
So
Like you could say the Beastie Boys were inciting violence when they said you got to fight for your right to party, right? They're inciting violence because they use the word fight. No.
I get you. I mean, I
Yeah.
get you. I get you. But we are in a very literal day and age, right?
Yeah.
With the way context is broken up and the way it's used and the words we say. That's why we've got to be careful about everything that we say, right? Because like even
It's the worst.
just getting past the censors on YouTube, making sure you don't say things that are going to get you tick, tick,
Oh no. Yeah.
Epstein, get your channel Epstein real quick.
Right.
Um, God, I love that can be a verb.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I love that.
Real
Sorry, he's dead. I mean,
quick,
well, maybe I'm not.
because
No.
real quick, we got ignoramus media showing up. We got the Stephen Alt. What's up, man? Uh, he's saying, "Oh, he's trying to get the Gen Cap more subs." Oh,
Nice.
thanks, man.
That's a nice guy.
Yeah, thanks,
Might be
Steve.
wrong.
There's a lot of good stuff going on right now in the chat. That's why I wanted to address it.
Right, I was noticing that. Yeah, there's people showing up. Stephen, it's good to see you. It's
Yeah, definitely, man.
I'm always happy to see that guy around. Very interesting day you had the other day, but we won't go into that. But I have to ask this question, John. Then so Trump responds to this. Okay, he comes out and he says in a video message, like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. To those who broke the law, you will pay. And he pissed a lot of his people off.
Yeah.
They see that as a betrayal. Now, as the sitting president, so he had to make. Did he make a judgment call, or I don't know? What do you think his motivation behind putting that out is? Is it
Probably some
real
CYA.
condemnation?
No, probably some CYA.
But would you have put that out if you were hoping to get elected in 2024 and you knew that
Oh
it was
no,
going to
he's not
have
going
such a
to.
visceral effect with your supporters?
I don't think that he plans on continuing.
Do you think that's a dead in the water kind of hope now?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that he would be. I mean, there's no way now that they have complete control over everything. There's no way he's going to get anything done. No, he's not going to be at a campaign. Hell no.
I don't know.
And
So,
he's going to be too old too, in my opinion.
well, I know he's
I
going to
mean,
be.
he's you might be right about one of his kids running,
Well, he just turned
but
what?
I
He just
don't.
turned what?
Even then, I don't
70?
know.
He'll be 74. He'll
No,
be younger than Biden is. I
no,
thought he
he's like
turned
seven.
71 this past year. Has he
No,
gotten? Oh,
I think he's older.
maybe he
Somebody fact
is.
check us. Someone let us know how old he is, because now that
Maybe
you
he was 70
said
when he
that,
got
I'm
elected.
questioning myself.
I forget
Yeah, I'm
four.
questioning myself.
I forget 4 years has gone by because it just seems like one long year over the last
Yeah,
4 years. It's just
it
like
really has.
I
Yeah.
can't even. It's like what? There's been 3 Christmases already. What? I'm just like fuck that. But no, it's like you know, but can he come out in support of that? I mean, I mean, is I don't know. Does he have to worry about a give a fuck 2 weeks before he's out of office to where he couldn't
Yeah.
just come out and say, you know what? Great job, guys. It didn't accomplish what we wanted to, but glad you were there for me.
Well, he's facing some pretty serious criminal charges as soon as he gets out.
Potentially. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. Do they have something that they can make stick, or will they make it stick? Will they
I think
like
they're
add
going to try
extra
and
glue
make it
on it?
sick. Right. And anything they can add onto it, they're going to. So he needs to not be doing that.
Um, yeah. But it's there's lots of stupid things that are going to happen right now. We've got and it was touched on earlier. I mean, this is the fucking Democrats came out today and said they're going to cut another $2,000 check. They're about to steamroll that through.
Yeah.
And So that's going to be that's just going to like start this year off with like another bunch of heavy spending,
Yeah.
like just right away. And I'm like, um, but I don't know. I mean, in light of this, you know, can they take? How far can they take him on personal? Don't they have to? They can't. They can't charge Donald Trump with any crimes that he
Yeah.
committed as a president. They have to charge him as a president. If he's not an acting president, can they charge him with anything?
I don't know, but they can certainly use it against him in court, especially his tweets and such, which, I mean, I'm sure are archived or whatever somewhere.
Now, Henry agrees with you. He says Trump's afraid of going to jail. But
Yeah.
I
Which
would think
I don't think he's going to spend much, if any, time at all in jail. I think he's going to get at worst, isn't it? Who was it that got the he just has to go back to jail to sleep, but like otherwise he's allowed out to do whatever he wants so long as he's back at night. It's basically like some fucking
so.
ridiculous like
Basically any white collar crime.
right.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean he's
Right.
mega wealthy. He's not gonna be in Gen Pop, He's not
Okay.
he's, he's
So
not doing that.
he's in the process of being canceled right now, though. Right now, this is what I really want to know: is it going to be possible to cancel him, or will he? Is he going to create something of his own, like has been talked about?
Yeah.
Because
I think he might. I think he might. If anything, he'll start like a news network or maybe his own political party. But I don't know about that part. Maybe he will start his own political party. I don't know. But
well,
I think he's going to start a news network or of some kind. Or yeah, I don't know.
you were talking about the media bans because they've dropped him. He's off. He's off Twitter.
Yeah.
Sidney Powell, they pulled her off Twitter.
Right.
The guy that started 8chan, what's it called now? 8nuck or something like that.
I
He
don't.
changed the name or something, but anyway, this guy, he's off Twitter. Big QAnon supporter or somebody else, I forget what his name is. He's off of Twitter. Like they're starting to target and cancel. They're going to can they're I think they're going to attempt to cancel Trump now, not just on Twitter, because you have things like Parler. They shut down Parler on Google Play. And
Yeah.
the Apple Store gave them 24 hours to get like super high def what's
Moderation.
moderation in place
Yeah.
within 24 hours, or they're gone off the Apple Store. So so now I'm like, okay, what happened now? Are they also going to try and cancel this? Are they going to try and cancel new media? I mean, is that going to be the next purge that we have to worry about, where YouTube, D Live, all sorts of different places start targeting anybody
Yeah.
that's even talking about this?
Yeah, that's what you're going to be seeing in the next few months. You're going to be seeing everyone purged off the big platforms, and then immense amount of pressure on the smaller startup like social media sites. You're going to see a ton of that. It's going to become two regulatory bodies: the government and big tech, Silicon Valley. Those are the two people that are going to be in charge of you every day. in everything that you do.
Um, well, does he have any hope for his dynasty? Does he have any hope for getting either one of his kids elected in 2024? Um, this is the perfect
Hmm.
time for Don Jr. to jump on the bandwagon, right?
Yeah, but I
Because,
don't know because their father's name is Mud now.
but he's
Like
got the beard, Don,
I,
and
yeah, no, I understand.
he's a little more gun-toting, good
He's a
old
little more
boy
measured
attitude.
as well. He's a little more
And he's
measured. He doesn't
he.
just have stream of consciousness during a major political speech.
So,
So,
I'm just going to say it is almost like a psychopath, a sociopathic edge, where he's calm and deliberate about
like
anything
perfect
insane
for a
he might say,
politician.
right?
Right, perfect for a
Oh dear
politician.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
Find a
scares me.
politician that isn't a sociopath. I dare you. I'll wait.
Um, so, but Biden came out and said, he did come out and say that his concern is about the pandemic. He's not concerned about impeachment. He doesn't give a shit about that. He's
Yeah.
more worried about dealing with the country. And um, but now I have to start asking questions. What's this going to do to our police state? How is that going to be impacted? Where is this kind of event going to set us now? In who's being looked at and who's being profiled on the street. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, John, your neck beard now.
It would actually save me, I would
I don't.
think,
Well,
because it's mostly lefties that have neck beards. So I could, go
well, did you see
disappear into
how
a
many
crowd of
beards
lefties
were
and
at the
perfectly
Capitol?
blend in.
You saw how many
Oh
beards were
yeah.
at the Capitol. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I'm not gonna
Oh
lie, they
yeah.
were there, all over. I mean,
But
it was
but
kind
but the
of
way
as.
that I dress, like jeans and a band T-shirt, and the neck beard with the hat, yeah, I look like a lefty.
But you wear
I
too
can
much
blend in very
black,
easily.
you're gonna look like Antifa, man. That's the
No,
thing.
no, I don't wear a mask though, so it's fine.
Is that what it is? Wait, but if you're not wearing a mask, that makes you a terrorist too.
Oh, fuck, that's right. Damn it.
You're a corona terrorist.
No matter what I do, I just can't win, man.
All right. So, um, what about do you or do you not think Pence would be in the right to invoke the 25th? Honestly,
um, I mean, I think it's within his power to do it. I
sure.
don't, I don't think that he should, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because he, again, like I was talking about on Wednesday, he's got his career to look at, and he's got to keep going, whereas Trump doesn't. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because he's already turned his back on him,
Now, see, Saint.
just like everyone else has. So they know something that we don't. That's why they all turn their back on him around the same time.
Well, Saint says he says this kind of stuff is only going to make it worse to talk about. Serious anything that's going on. He says I'm going to need to think about where I sport any American flags, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
right, right.
I'm not going to tell
Um,
anyone, that you shouldn't do that, because obviously I think you should, but just know that, yeah, shit can come down on you.
how about
I
this?
wouldn't expect it not to.
How about what else did they asked for today? They are asking that the Department of State that deals with all the foreign nations add Trump to the list of government officials who have tried to fuck with an election, like on the naughty list in trying to fuck with a free election. That's
I don't
trying
think
to.
that's going to stick.
Well, they're getting. I guess they're getting. I guess for want of a better term, signatures and support for it to where they're going to put it
Sure.
forward so that we broadcast that to the world. That we're a part of countries that have, for want of a better term, dictators that fuck with the elections in
Right.
their free countries. I'm like, really? You want to shame us that way? It's bad enough. It's not like they can't see that this all went on all over the globe, right? But it's like, really? Do you really want to weaken us that much more in the eyes of the world?
Hmm.
Because
Yes.
of all things, at a time like this is when we have to show strength. We,
Right. And so they want to prostrate themselves before the rest of the world and apologize.
That's
And yeah,
we're
that's
losing
why the
this,
state of Europe is the way that it is right now. Is because of that frustrating apologizing and
right?
appeasement. Yeah, that's why America's done so well over the past 4 years because we didn't, and now we're about to start doing it all over again.
And I'm gonna say this, and I'm sure it's probably not going to be popular opinion, but I think even Trump was weak to a certain extent
Yeah,
because
I do think that.
he could have been a lot more rigid in making us stronger, more secure, more isolated, and
I
more
mean,
powerful in the world's eyes.
I don't know if he had the unilateral power to do that though. I
He,
think that he had a lot working against him, and even despite that, still did quite a bit.
he had at least the power to throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what would stick.
I think he tried that.
Well, but he could have. I
He
think he
talked a
could have.
lot about shit. Do you remember every time we'd come on for a new episode and you'd be like, Trump's talking about this? I'm like, he's just talking shit. Like, I would always say, like, he's just putting it out there to kind of get like a feeler, like a probe, to kind of see, okay, what are people think about this thing? Okay, no, you don't like it. I'm not going to do it.
Well,
For the most part.
I guess I'm more along the lines of, you know what? Instead of all the focus that he put on the border wall, if he had put that much effort into just stopping the bulk of immigration from anywhere into this country, just okay, let's just put a hold on almost all this immigration that's going on from anywhere.
Yeah.
If we let's, and then we could talk about a wall. We can, but let's just fucking pause. Just
Well, that
fucking
was the thing
stop
is
all of it.
that was his biggest platform that he ran on in 2016 or 2015.
Sure.
So he had to make sure that if anything got done during his term, it had to be that.
It had to be the wall, right?
Right.
I would have just, you know me, I'm a big fan of go big, go home when it comes to immigration. We need to shut it down
Yeah.
and we need to fix it before we open it
Right.
back
But
up.
that's
That's
what
that.
was in the zeitgeist at the time. Right. It feels like forever ago. It was only 5 years ago. I'm still using five because I know it's 2021, but
Right.
it's barely so.
Right.
2015 is still 5 years ago. Um, but yeah, I mean that was what was in the social zeitgeist at the time. The political zeitgeist at the time was immigration control.
Because
So of course that was why he platformed on it
because
so large, so
I
largely.
I honestly believe there's about to be a very, very bad thing happen
Yes,
within the next 6 months. By middle
within
of the
it
very first year for
by
Biden.
the 20th,
No, 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 no,
by the
no.
20th, something big.
No, no, no,
I
no,
don't know
no.
what, but
I was talking more about immigration. Like I'm
um,
picturing if everything goes along and he comes into office as normal, nothing major goes off. I'm just talking with
mhm,
immigration. I have a very strong fear that within 6 months of him coming into term, there are going to be millions of illegal immigrants that are going to be given citizenship in this country
mm,
without the kind of process that should normally go on with someone becoming a citizen in this country,
right.
and they're just going to hand the keys to the castle to far too many people, and and that in and of itself could lead to some very scary propositions, because this is not just talking about Mexicans. This is there's
Right.
there's thousands of tens of hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants that are from so many other places, and places
Right.
you don't want them to be from, that shouldn't be here, that are illegal immigrants for a fucking reason. Um,
Right.
and a lot of I have a really bad feeling about that because this is one of those things that they want to do is they want to just clean up immigration. And they think the easiest way to do it is to just give everybody citizenship. No,
Which we've done in the past, and how did that work out? I mean, it hasn't fixed the problem. It just kind of kicked it down, kicked the can down the road. And I think that's what they're planning on doing again until there's another Republican president that they can blame all the problems on.
yeah,
Which at this point, I don't even know if there's going to be another Republican president in the next
I don't know. I'm ready for him to take the fucking
14
plaque.
years. I don't know.
I'm ready for him to
Yeah.
take the fucking plaque off the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
so many people have it warped in their fucking head that that was like some motto or some creed that we put down whenever the fucking Statue of Liberty was erected, and it's like
Or
no,
the law. Yeah.
that was a fucking poem some woman wrote in a contest just to honor it, and it was just a
Right.
poem.
Yeah.
It wasn't some declaration. It wasn't some no. And I understand that, you know, you can't have this country without having immigrants. Duh, everybody was an immigrant. Well, almost all of us were immigrants. Some of us
Right.
were half not
Well, if you go
immigrant.
back far enough,
Right.
everyone is.
Right.
So
No, yeah, no, I'm
there you
just
go.
kidding. But
Yeah.
everybody's an immigrant, right? And I get it.
Yeah.
But there comes a point where you gotta consider, you know, where's the tank on this? Where's the, you know, are we reaching F? Fuck off, we're full. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, we got to draw a line somewhere because we obviously can't even control the citizenry we have now with goodwill and harmony, right? We don't have something
Yeah.
going on that keeps everybody happy and peaceful. And why do we want to bring more people into that? Why do we want to keep pretending to the rest of the world that there's some great American dream here where you can thrive? Stop, no, stop doing that. Stop
Because
wasting
it
money
used to be
on
the
that.
case.
Come to America. We'll give you a whole bunch of money and you can start a business. While, you know, American citizens that have been here all their fucking life push their shopping carts full of junk by the front of your store while they look for the next cardboard box to sleep in. But welcome to
Yeah.
America. Enjoy the dream. I'm tired of that kind of
Well, I
shit.
mean, well, that's the thing is, it's up to you to accomplish the American dream or to realize the American dream. It's not up to, oh, okay, I'm here now. Hand me the American dream, and it seems like that's what some people want to happen.
But we've made it so absolutely easy to do exactly that. If
Not as
you are,
much anymore.
if you are, well, if you think about it, you have like if you can come over here and if you have a visa, if you are getting on the path to citizenship, right? You want to be an American, you can take advantage of the welfare programs, the social programs that are out there. You have that money. You can and you can
Mhm.
get that. You can get free money for school, and you can get free money for opening businesses. You know, you're looked at first for grants and all sorts of different ways. I mean, I've you know, I've been in Florida for 25 years and I've met people, multiple people in this fucking state that were here simply on the dime of nothing but social programs.
So let me ask you something about those people, though. Are they Cubans or Haitians or anything of the like refugees? Because
Um,
that would have an effect. That would have a difference
no, no,
in
people,
whether or not they get something.
no, people from other places, whether it be, you know, sad to say, I mean, I could Dominican Republic, Argentina.
That might be into the
I've met an
same
Argentinian.
Argentina now.
Um, uh, of course, Puerto Rico, but technically that's a 50-50, you know, they're 50-50 states.
Yeah,
So
they're
they
American
kind of fall
territory.
into it, but right. But they don't have the same advantages there that they have here. Just FYI, you know, you
Oh
don't go
no, I know. Yeah,
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 right. But yeah, Caribbean people doing the same thing, you know, but here on
yeah.
the dime of either going to school and all of it getting paid for, but they're also taking advantage of other social programs like welfare
Mhm.
or the food stamps and you know, and it's like okay, I get it, but no, no. If you just like it, like if you're an American and you want to go to another country and you want to live, what do you need to take with you? A bunch of fucking money, right? You need to take money with you to be able to afford to go do something in that country. And
Right.
then try and go through a process which many countries aren't going to let you into their country anyway, right? Because nobody's as free and loose as we are for the most part. Um,
Yeah.
but you know, it's not like you're going to go there and you're just going to have handouts being given to you to, you know, I mean, occasionally you'll have some that are, I mean, I've seen different things where it's like, oh, we want to get more students in our country. Germany did that at one point, right? And they were offering money to people to come and get education in certain fields and work in their country for a while.
Right.
But you know, there's nowhere else on earth I think that you can go to and get this as a foreigner, as an immigrant, and get the same reception as you do in America. And
Right.
I don't like that. I don't like it anymore. I don't because I see too much of what goes on with the common American that's just out there. I don't care what your race or nationality is, but the people that are born on this soil and been here all their life, and don't get, you know, and I know that there's a disparity in the give me's that go on just among the citizenry itself too. But I don't know. I'm tired of it. I saw after seeing all the spending that we were going to do on foreign nations in our budget this
Yeah,
past year, it made me sick to my stomach, John. I'm so
right.
fucking tired of handing money to other countries, especially when I know that we hand that money to those other countries, and it's just kind of like you remember that old stereotype: don't give a homeless person a handout when they ask it for you, because what are they going to fucking do? They're just going to go buy some drugs or booze with it. Well,
Right.
I kind of have that same feeling about the rest of the fucking world holding their hands out, getting money from us.
Yeah.
It's like, is that what you're spending that money on in your nice, non-corruptible society?
Yeah.
That's what you're
And
spending your money on?
what's really funny is a lot of the times we spend it on our own enemies. There's a good quote from Dave Smith that I like a lot, where and it's in the beginning of every one of his podcasts, where he says, "If you want to know who our next enemy is, just look at who we're funding now."
Right.
And generally, that's the case. That is the case generally. Um, so yeah, we should we should certainly stop that, especially if we're going to be like, oh yeah, here's some money. It's like we want to even the playing field. Like, yeah, we're going to come bomb you in like 10 years, so get ready for that. Here's some money to help you out. I
Right.
don't know.
India.
I mean, I obviously don't want to bomb anyone either, but
Right. Well,
let's not fund them if that's what we're going to do.
I would be willing to say that
Keep that at home.
over the years we've probably given India, uh, you know, some sort of aid and support for whatever, right? Because apparently we just kind of do this for all sorts of different initiatives, whatever, based off what I was seeing in that shit, right? Um, but India became a nuclear country, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and in the scope of history, not very long ago. So I would ask, how much money have we given to India in the past? And
Oh, I wouldn't even know. Yeah.
so there you have to ask, it's like, okay, well, would they have gotten to that point with or without our
See,
money?
the thing
You
is,
know,
like, I have no problem with Indian immigrants coming here, generally speaking, because they're generally speaking, first of all, they already have, a similar culture, at least with from the British occupation of India. Like most of them speak English already. They know the customs and traditions of the Western world, and they're very hard workers.
well,
And a lot of them. This is actually something I found out from like between friends that I've had that were Indian, and I used to work at a gas station that was owned by an Indian. What most of them do, and this is fucking brilliant, is they'll have a family member that's already here and already owns, either a gas station, a hotel, whatever the thing is that they're owning. And then that person will pay for them to come there, and they'll have like an almost indentured servitude kind of deal. It's like, I'll, provide you a place to live, everything's cool, but you got to work, 10 hours a day or whatever every day for the next however long until you pay that off. But if it's like family, they'll usually make them some kind of a manager or something like that, give them the skills that they need, and they'll go open their own later, somewhere else where they're not competing. And that's why you have so many, that's why that stereotype exists, is because it's a truth for of course, generally speaking, not all, not all, not all, but
right.
it's a very good system that works for them.
Sure, but here's the problem I have with it, and I know the system you're talking about, because I've one of the very first job I ever had was working for an Indian couple that owned a Dairy Queen
Mhm.
up in Georgia. Yeah, that's a business model that's been going on a long time with
Yeah,
Indian immigrants. But remember
right,
this, remember this. When they get money to start any of those new businesses, most of the time they're able to get a federal grant for a large
sure,
portion of that money based off their immigration status, new immigrant business. And see, the guy that's
sure,
been here for the first 5 years that trains the new guy that comes to the country, he can't get it, but now this guy can, right? So they just,
right.
they can, but
But
it's
what they'll
it's
also do
constantly
is,
being money being handed to them out of your pocket, out of my pocket. to
Right.
start their business, as opposed to the guy that's an American citizen already all his life, and he goes to the bank to get a loan because he can't get a federal grant, and he gets turned down because
Yeah.
his credit's not good enough. But
Yeah.
there's money to give to somebody from somewhere else. We just can't, we don't have the money to give to an American. That bugs the fuck out of me, John.
Well, see, the deal that my old boss had when I was working at a gas station, I'm not going to name it or anything dumb like that. But he didn't own the gas station. Technically, it was the company who helped him get here that owned it. And what they did was he had a contract for X amount of years. I don't remember exactly how many, but they actually bought him a $250,000 house for him and his wife and his son to live in. They paid for the kids' college. They did all of that, but obviously they had benefits, dental and healthcare and all that. They bought them each a car. Like they did everything because they owned like a shitload of gas
Sure.
stations in the area.
The
So
monarchy
they
had been built.
Yeah, right. The infrastructure was already in place. So they came over here and just said, yeah, we'll work for you, whatever, for however long, and they did, once the contract was up, they got to keep the house, the cars, all that kind of stuff, and they didn't have to work anymore.
Well,
It was, I mean, it's an incredible deal. It was basically like you know, a free life. I mean, because they got their paycheck too. They got the normal paycheck. They
sure.
can go out and do stuff and fill their car up with gas or whatever. But yeah, I mean, they were making decent money. They had basically a free place to live. I think they had to pay their own property taxes or whatever, but they owned the house outright, like the cars outright, all that kind of stuff. It was a really cool deal. It's one that I might have taken if I was offered shit.
But let me ask you this:
Yeah.
are they patriots?
Yeah. He was a pretty conservative guy,
Are they?
but he was
I
also
mean,
a business owner, so
right?
yeah, I can see why he would be.
But
They
that,
typically are.
well, being conservative is one thing, but were they American? Is that like,
I get what you mean.
who are they
I
beholden
would
to? Are
say,
they beholden to America as the country
yeah,
they love,
I would say
and
so.
is this their home now? Like, do they consider America their home, or is India always their home, and America's just the place where they make
As
their
far as I
wealth?
know, they've only been back to India twice since they came here, and that was when both of the guy's parents died, like two separate times. They one died and a few years later the other one died. So the only time they went back was for the funeral for his parents, which I
Gotcha.
think any reasonable person would say that's understandable. I mean, come on. But they were full U.S. citizens. They didn't have dual citizenship or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, and ultimately, I know we kind of got off on a tangent, but when it's all said and
Yeah,
done, it's these kind of this is the kind of thing that I wanted out of Trump. Like, if you're going to be bold and brash, we'll bring the heavy guns. Do what is necessary. And he made cuts on this, cuts on that. A little bit here, a little bit there, and I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, don't we want a president that's going to come in and like take an axe to bureaucracy? Is that
yeah.
possible to get? I mean, that's what I
I think
really want to see.
Yeah, I think Trump was the closest thing we're going to get to that anytime soon. And I think he did probably as much as he could have. Maybe he could have done more. I don't know. Obviously, that's impossible to say. But I mean, he certainly exposed, you know, I guess the plan and who it was that was executing it. And he showed the entire government to be what they actually are to anyone who's paying attention. So, I mean, that's probably the best that he could have done.
So if what he said is true and everything was orchestrated like he said, I don't I don't condone anything about the fraud in the election or anything. I nothing. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, if everything he said was true and this grand scenario was pulled off, is it is it possible to destroy that now? Now, now that they have control of everything, is it not going to? They can just now completely pull the wool over everything, shut
Yeah,
everything down. Like
right.
they can stop like that. That happened Wednesday is really the best that can be hoped to happen. Everything else is going to be terrorists.
Yeah, pretty much. Everything else is going to be conspiracy theory, right wing nut job conspiracy theorists, and then can be easily dismissed because there's no one else saying the same thing. You're bombarded all day, every day with the same message, no matter where you go. So anyone who's saying anything different looks insane. I mean, that's how human psychology works.
Because like if that's the case, because it seems like to me right now, this is like when they can now like throw the switch and complete the brainwashing.
That's what it seems like is happening.
Uh,
Yeah, that they threw the switch and said, okay, time to start getting rid of all these people. Not let them say anything, going after the typical like, oh well, they don't have to support you on that platform, so if you get banned from there, you just go make your own. Well, what happens when people make their own, right? That
right.
gets taken down too.
Cancel.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no, you're gonna see a lot more of that. Yeah.
Ed, jumping into the chat, Ed said part of the problem is that you can go to a foreign country and get a fuck ton of handouts, but they come from the people and privately, where we're the country that uses the government, right?
Yeah.
Saint got out of here. Sorry to see you guys. We didn't
See
catch
you
that.
soon.
Have a good night. Uh, Ed says everybody but Ed and Wyatt is streaming tonight. Oh, and Ed says Freckles and Brett aren't streaming, but yeah, it's not
Yeah, they're
surprising
usually
people
on
are going to be
Sunday.
streaming, but
Yeah.
nobody's us. I mean, we're here every Friday night. This is just us. This
Yeah, they're all just copying
we're your
us,
Friday night gals. Uh,
right?
Helton's drinking a beer. That's good to know. Just got back from eating
Yeah,
dinner. I hope it was steak, Ron. I hope it was
I hope
steak.
it was steak, and I hope you're drinking a Yingling.
Peterson says he carries a heavy gun. The gun may be small, but I make it heavy. So do I. I call it
Yeah, right, bro.
I use a lead cock ring. That makes my gun very heavy. Ed's blog Twitter says on the same vein, in trucking, what would happen is that someone from behind the Iron Curtain would come over rent a one bedroom apartment in Milwaukee with 15 other immigrants that never go there. See,
Yeah,
like yeah.
it's true. Yeah,
That used to be a thing with Mexican immigrants as well.
right. With the restaurant,
Right.
yeah, I remember you telling that story. You can tell it again, 'cause I don't know if everyone
Where they,
vividly
yeah, I
remembers
worked
it.
at a restaurant. We had a crew of 6 in the kitchen, and they were all from Mexico. And every 6 months, when their visas were coming due, they would have their 6 cousins would come up from Mexico, and they would swap out. So every 6 months, we swapped out the kitchen crew with another crew of guys.
Mhm.
and 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 they would all live in one small one bedroom apartment, and they bought loads of bread and bologna packaged lunch meat. That was what they ate all the time when they didn't take food home from the restaurant, and everything else just got
Right.
sent back to Mexico where they lived high on the hog. For
Yeah,
you know uh,
I had that with my old Puerto Rican neighbors. You remember where we lived before we were at the place that we were at before, trying to give you code without giving
right,
it away. But where we lived before, uh, that next door neighbor, they were like straight from Puerto Rico,
right,
like straight from Puerto Rico to that apartment.
right, right. It's
Like straight from Puerto Rico or from Puerto Rico. Um, they did the same thing though. They had two different families that were living there, and it was a two-bedroom apartment. So like the entire family was living in one bedroom, and the other entire family was, and they each had like 3 kids. It was fucking ridiculous. It was a madhouse,
yeah.
but they always had lots of food, and it was really good.
But that's not much different than the way they sleep in their home country. The houses, they
Yeah,
probably
I
had a
guess
small
so.
house and slept all in the same room kind of situation. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird, right? To think about that. I'm going to come from a third world situation into a first world, but find myself some third world accommodations, right?
Right.
It's kind of weird. Ed
Yeah. I
says,
mean, you got to do what you got to do. I get it. I don't. I'm not gonna hate on them. Got to do what you got to do to survive.
Continuing what Ed said earlier about trucking, said they would rent the one-bedroom apartment. Then he'd live in his truck that he owns as an owner-operator, operating with the 7-year tax-free business, then sell the truck the next year. Wow. See,
Mhm.
there's all these ways to just
Yeah,
manipulate that, all these systems for people to come
right.
in this country and, like I said, ride the dime.
Right. So instead of making the bureaucracy more convoluted and complicated, how about we just not have the bureaucracy?
How about just not have the immigration?
You could
and then
also do that, but
and
I don't know if
then
I'm
cut
down.
out, then you can go into cutting out the bureaucracy, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
you've got a leak in a pipe, you shut the
Yeah.
fucking water off and then
Right.
you fix the pipe.
You fix the leak. Yeah.
I
Fair
mean,
enough. I'm not against like a temporary ban on immigration. As
I,
long
I,
as it's temporary, I'm fine with that. But
if we can't look at immigration like fucking plumbing, then we're fools because it's a
yeah,
constant flow coming in.
right.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, some fucked up. It's broke. I mean, I've seen plumbers crack. I know something's broke.
Yeah.
Helton says, uh, uh, Peter says Trump will be president from what I see, not mainstream. Yeah, I don't. Oh, wait. Trump will be president. I wonder what he means, like just for the next 2 weeks or.
Yeah. He might still be trusting the plan. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
gotcha.
it doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
I'm going to put it out there that I have seen a couple of things where people have been putting out there that they have it from credible sources that Trump is still going to invoke the military. He's going to do something, uh, so so if
The time to do that would have been Wednesday. If
he
that's what
had.
his plan was, he would have done it then.
I'm wondering if he missed his window. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the only other thing I can think that would stop any transition is potentially war.
Yeah.
That would be the Hail Mary, I think.
He doesn't have much time left.
Right.
So
Uh,
I don't think so, man.
Helton says they control the news. How else could they push the Russiagate nonsense
Yeah.
for 4 years with zero proof of election tampering?
Right.
Right. Um,
100%. Yeah. Ron
right.
Helton's 100% right. That's what we were talking about. It's, yeah,
But
you're
I
going
mean,
to see like a complete narrative throughout all of media,
but
whether it
now,
be mainstream media or social media, whatever it is, you're going to see one narrative. And
right.
if you get a comment in, you're just going to be a conspiracy right wing nut job and dismissed at best. That is the
I mean,
best thing that will happen to you.
now, ultimately, though, it is interesting that what came out of that was there's really, I mean, even though they tried to impeach him just because they were like, well, we're going to do it anyway, just because we can,
Right.
um, is that there wasn't any major impact on the election from election tampering, right? That there wasn't. I mean, it really came to me. It came across to me as there wasn't any more than there's always been, right?
Hmm.
Wasn't any
Later
more.
on, yeah, it started
Right.
out with most
Oh,
secure and
sure,
safe election
sure,
ever.
sure.
And then there was a little bit, but not
But
widespread. And then
it.
there was, well, there's widespread, but not enough to change the outcome.
Well, no,
I
I'm
mean, come
talking
on.
about the 2016 with the Russia,
Oh,
with the
yeah,
Russia.
yeah, yeah.
Both of them wound up being the same thing. Like, so it's interesting to me that like the Russia investigation, we wound up really finding out nothing outside of the norm really happened. That maybe there was some back channel talking going on, but this is not surprising either that this is the kind of back channel talking that would go on in any
Yeah,
election previous to this. But then at the same time, they try and prove election fraud with the 2020 election, but they keep coming up with not enough substantial evidence to sway any courts. And either that's a concerted effort to shut it down, which had to spread across both sides of the aisle because there were Republicans and Democrats out there, judges and
yeah,
election officials who were saying that these were legitimate and not enough fraud to, any more, no more than normal, and not enough to have swayed the election. So we came out with the same results, but people are not happy with that fact when it's a losing situation for them, right? When the result winds up being that they've lost, that they're going to lose the election, versus trying to prove that he did something criminal in the previous election. I don't know. It's so fucking confusing and just twisted.
Yeah,
It's a twisted dark tale, is what it
it
is.
is. Yeah.
Um, it says immigrant at the end of the 7 year and go home a million. And immigrant at the end of 7 years and go home a millionaire. See, that's. I see what he's talking about with the trucking thing with immigrants. Yeah, they can make
Right.
come over here, make a lot of money, and go home. Get the education. That's the part that I really. It's like just come over and take some free dollars to get an education here, and then go back to your home country and share the wealth with them. No, but Henry says, guys, don't forget to change your voter registration to Democrat so you're not a target for gun confiscation. I just go with
Might be a solid plan.
I always go with none of the above. Uh, Helton says, "Hola, Senor Roberto. I'm up now." Helton says, "So they
Sí,
were camping
trabajo
out.
aquí work.
So they were camping." He asked, "So they were camping out in the apartment?" Yeah, I mean that's how you do it. No, they yeah, one bedroom apartment can sleep anywhere from 8 to 10 people. In a
Not
situation like
necessarily as
that.
comfortably as, yeah, not as comfortably as you would like, but
More
you
comfortably
can
than
do it.
probably more comfortable than they might have been at home.
Possibly, I don't know. Yeah.
You would think, or why would they live like that? But uh,
Well, I mean, I get why you would, like, if you had to out of necessity. Sure, I get that. I
uh,
don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that.
so Peterson says, "Don't forget, I said Trump will be president. I
All
may
right,
I may be
you're on
wrong,
the
but
hook.
I am ready for a fight." Uh, Ed says you can't stop the immigration. Those are people, you monster. Yeah, yes, because the immigrants are people, not Americans. I'm sorry, I get it. Uh,
No,
Peterson
only
says,
non-white immigrants are people. Only non-white immigrants are people. Everyone
uh,
else is not is yeah, an animal.
Peterson says, "I am ready to fight. I
Not
don't want
cute.
to." And see, that's
Yeah,
that's the thing I want is I don't want anybody ready. I don't want anybody fighting. I
right.
it's like God, I wish there was just a way to do this. If I don't know, I don't think the system will allow. I keep my thoughts are so confused on it, right? I keep saying we got to get inside the system to break it, but it's like, are they stacking the deck to where you can't get inside the system to
Right. Well,
stop it?
they're
Because
most certainly. I mean, especially now, especially with full Democrat control. Yeah, they're gonna do what they can to hold on to that power, and you've seen how good they are at doing that.
look, I'm not. I have to say I don't condone in any way, shape, or form the things that happened in the Capitol building. Now, if those people were allowed into the rotunda, which I saw some of the video, like there was one video where the police were backed up against the wall as the people were coming in through the door into the main rotunda. That's fine. You want to be at the Capitol building, you want to protest inside at the rotunda, that's great. But when it started getting into, well, let's break shit, let's let the world know we were here by, leave our
Yeah,
mark. That's where I begin to have a problem. Like, right? There were complete people complaining about how nice the furniture was and how lush and lavish the building. And I'm like,
right.
it's the goddamn Capitol building. Where in the world are you going to go to a Capitol building and not see that kind of shit?
I mean, it is. I mean, it is a remarkable building. I mean,
Sure, but
you
it's
know,
been a remarkable building for many
right. But not
years.
everyone's been there. Not everyone's been there and seen it. So I don't know what
What
the
did
issue
you
is, but
what did they expect though? Like, right? It's like you don't walk up to the doors of the Capitol building with it looking as grand and monumental as it does and walk in and expect to see fucking, I don't know, you know, a hillbilly shack inside and an
well, I
outhouse or
mean,
two. What the fuck did you think you were going to walk into? It should be, I don't know. it's, that's just always,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I don't know what you people expected, but surprise, we're gonna do like any other country in the world, and we're gonna make ornaments out of our government, our capitals and stuff. Now, I'm not saying it's right necessarily right. It's but I mean, it's not like that building is new, and most of the shit in there is like brand new. It's a lot of that stuff is old stuff that's been there for decades, even more. Right? How old is the Capitol building? I don't know.
I don't know exactly. It's old.
Yeah. It's older than me. Uh,
Wow, yeah, so it's pretty goddamn old.
Helton says it
Ah,
is. Helton says it is an effort to shut it down. The deep state, most of the Congress does not want Trump. War is profitable. Trump is crimping their style. Deep
yeah.
state runs the media. Church Committee, 1975. Uh, the Twitter, he's commenting on Twitter permanently banning Trump. But I mean,
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit.
well, I mean, and he was asking for it. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying he was asking for it. Like if I'm betting that he got some warnings. I would hope that they at least threw out some warnings, like any
Well,
other.
they,
I mean,
yeah, I
like
mean,
like
no,
like
no, no, I'm
cutting
not saying that
tweets and
they,
stuff. Those were warnings, right? Okay,
well, we knew he was going to be suspended. I thought it was going to be after Biden's inauguration, which is why I'm saying, part of the reason why I'm saying that what happened on Wednesday is what it accelerated what was already the plan. His account was obviously going to be suspended. I just didn't think it was going to be before inauguration. I
the
figured it would be after. But
everyone
like I said, yeah.
most of them are claiming that it is. I've seen the claims that it is a security move, from the standpoint of getting rid of anybody that might incite more violence between now
Hmm.
and the inauguration. So soon after
Do you
Wednesday.
think that people are planning violence on Twitter?
Well, they're.
Like, I mean, come
I'm
on.
saying they're taking out these big voices that
Yeah,
because that's what like I said, they claim that Trump was inciting it, right?
yeah,
This is so they're taking away big voices that they can construe as having entertained or potentially incited, that their tweets, their conspiracy theory bullshit, whatever, as Twitter deems it, is out, so that they can protect. They're thinking about the security of the American public is the thing,
Hmm.
right?
I know. So yeah, so magnanimous.
Right, right. It's
Yeah,
not covering their own ass. It's yeah.
certainly not. Yeah, they're
Uh,
just and they're ever yeah, and their omniscient, benevolent wisdom. They're trying just looking out for you, Robert. Looking out
right.
for your safety.
Well, Ron Helton points out that Trump is supposedly now on Parler, but bear in mind, Parler dropped from the Google
Probably is
Play
that
Store
yeah, about to be
and
dropped from Apple.
about to be dropped from Apple. Now,
Hmm.
this is here we go. So now this begins to be the question: how much of this is going to start stepping on our First Amendment? Right? So, is the federal government
That's
going to be involved or behind any shutdowns and things like this?
not directly, not
That's what
direct.
we have to watch for.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
going to be behind it directly,
Um,
but there's not going to be legislation drafted, and I don't think. But at the same time, I shouldn't make any predictions because who the hell knows at this point?
uh, Henry says this is one of those things that we need to get out of our comfort zone. It's a really difficult thing to do, but again, people
Yeah,
keep trying to find a peaceful resolution because it's comfortable. The
I agree
motivational
that
speakers and
they do
self-made
that.
millionaires all say the same thing: get out of your comfort zone to get results. And I get that. Um,
Yeah,
it's the and I've said this before. I I understand the need for it. I understand the desire for it. However, the volatile situation on that exists in the streets, in the communities around this country, is the problem, for me in this happening. It needs to be something that is very directly targeted at exactly what needs to be done. Much like you were saying earlier, John, that this one was, it was directed at the people that were where you wanted to make change, right? They went to the Capitol building, they went inside the Capitol
yeah,
building to deal with those people who were in control of things, and I get that. But if it must not be a situation where neighbor takes up arms against neighbor because of
yeah,
differing opinions and viewpoints. This is the problem, because I your neighbor isn't the issue here. Your neighbor that voted for Biden is not the issue,
Right.
but it will turn into
Right.
that. Your black neighbor isn't the issue.
Your
Your
white
your
neighbor
your
isn't
your
the
white
issue.
neighbor isn't the issue. Your
Right.
brown neighbor isn't the issue. That
Right.
guy that these are people that you see on a daily basis. You say hello to. You may borrow shit from this, that, and the other. And now all of a sudden, over the last few years, you've built an animosity towards anybody that's not in your court, and
Yeah.
through no fault of your own. And but we must be prepared to not have knee-jerk reactions in in that kind of situation. And I don't think that that's possible. I mean, that's the part that it just gets to me, is knowing that that is the ultimate outcome that I see from, if it's not done right. It's it's got to be a real thing, right? No, I'm not calling for it at all. I'm just saying, I don't know that it can be done right, John. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, because the to make it to have it done right, you got to get a lot of people to stand up that are weren't willing to stand up and, for instance, go to Washington D.C. and take part in that protest, or
Yeah.
take part in any protest, or to go in front of a judge in a courthouse near you where the election was being fought, or
Yeah.
to go and challenge the election results. There are people that didn't, they talk a good game, but they're not going to act.
Yeah.
And it winds up being, like you said earlier, a poorly executed moment for
Right.
that.
Yeah.
uh, Go ahead.
Oh
You,
no,
I thought
I
you
don't
were
think
I thought you
I.
were going to jump in the chat or something.
Oh, okay. No, no, no. I mean, I can.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Where do we leave off?
Oh, I
Now
was
it's
saying.
all
Well, Helton was, of course, talking about Apple, which we did talk about, and
right.
uh, then
Partly.
uh, then they're talking about Twitter, because, of course, Twitter. Oh, Ed Bruce. I didn't know that. Did you see that? Helton said, "Oh, he must be
I
going through
saw that.
headlines. He's going through.
Yeah.
He's checking the news." I see Wyatt has joined the house tonight. Good to see you tonight, Wyatt. Uh, oh, I love Ron. Ron would be a good neighbor
Yeah.
to have. I think Ron would be a
Yeah.
great neighbor to have.
He'd be a good guy to talk to, like with the fence, like what's that, Home Improvement?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can just that's all you ever see is just talking to the
Wilson.
eyes.
Wilson.
Wilson, that's his name.
Uh,
So
Yeah, see, and Henry says, I'm not even calling for violence. I don't want it. I hate it. I am really a nonviolent person, but things need to change, and they have to be taken to the level that makes things change for the better. Yeah, and that's the thing is, you know, it's got to be the size. You've got to have. It's got to be of a size that matters, because you know anything small, little small, this, that, and other popping off here and there and everything. I mean, even the Black Lives Matter movement showed that it might carry on a little bit, but what if we get what did what happened with Black Lives Matter? It's just
um
it's just not there
well it
anymore.
was right. Well, yeah, their uselessness is over. I mean, they're still rampaging in Portland, I think. Portland, I think it's Portland that they're still rampaging around. But largely, yeah, they've disappeared because they're not useful anymore.
Right. So even that, is like, oh, look at the impact that have, and it did. It make a difference at the time that it was happening.
Made a
There were
difference
things
in the
happening,
election.
but it really, mostly what it got was a lot of knee jerk reaction. It still resulted in knee jerk reaction,
Of course it did, yeah.
and no real major change. I mean, I haven't heard anything about Minneapolis with all new non-policed society. I don't. Where does that stand? You still got cops, right?
Yeah.
So And this is the
Well, the
same
cops
thing.
aren't going
Like the,
away. They never were. That was, the defund the police thing was just a turn public opinion away from the police so that the rioters can go and do what they want to do with impunity. I mean,
uh,
the defund the police thing is never going to happen.
I think the big takeaway from this is that that side, if we want to look at it from a this side and that side perspective, that
Mhm.
side has a lot more people willing to step to a call to action than the other. Because that's the thing is like even with the amount of people, the amount of things that went on with the Black Lives Matter movement, the riots, the protests, the whole 9 yards, um, still not on any kind of scale to have wide sweeping change other than probably had an affected the outcome of the election, right? But that's debatable if it did or if it was going to go that way anyway. I don't know. I think a lot of people would disagree and say that Trump had it in the bag before Black Lives Matter, and possibly Corona was. I don't. I can't tell if Corona. I think Corona helped him. I think his response in all the bullshit that people tried to throw scrutiny on him. I think how he dealt with the coronavirus pandemic was a plus on his side, right? It
I
was
think
gonna it
a
was gonna
net
help him.
plus, yeah.
It was
It
going to
was. I
help
think it
him
was a
because
net plus.
he stood with people that didn't feel the need to wear masks at times. He did this, he did that. It was going to turn out positively for him. I think
Yeah.
that there may have been some impact from the size and scope of the Black Lives Matter protests and movement, that may have impacted the election. But outside of that, nothing overwhelmingly wide scale changed. Nothing upheaval in the government. Nothing, right?
Hmm.
And if you don't bring that from the other side, if you don't bring that and more, you will not make a vocal impact in this situation. And that's the
Yeah.
part about it where it's like it's great that a lot of people are I will take action. I'm willing to take action. Okay. But sad to say, you got to coordinate that. And then of course you're in a situation where, or do you just go, are there enough of you to go wide scale pell mell like Black Lives Matter did? But I don't think that's the case because sad to say,
Hmm.
the part that factors in is much more conservative individuals, right?
Right,
And
and much more
conservative enough
conservative.
not to just go crazy out there, which might be the only way
Well,
that your voices get heard.
apparently that's the way that it has to be. Because no one gave a shit what regular people had to say until Wednesday. Was the last time, and the thing is, they didn't use that media coverage to put out a message to do anything, right? And all that's going to be talked about is, they threatened the lives of our, holy politicians, even though none of the politicians got hurt. But that's beside the point, obviously. Um, but yeah, that's the thing is the reason you don't see conservatives or any kind of people on the right out there for the most part, right? Obviously, you have counter protesters and stuff like that, but they're not out there burning down cities and
Right.
destroying property because the right wing typically likes order
Mhm.
and
Right.
respect authority generally. Right wing libertarians less so for sure, but it's more about with the right wing libertarians. It's more about like respecting people's property rights and you know uh, not be in non-violence, not
Right.
necessarily obviously in self-defense, yes, but not being the aggressor.
Right.
It's against the right wing ideologies to do that sort of thing, which is why the left is so good at it.
Yeah, but
I think
that
that's why it failed on Wednesday, is because they're like, this is completely against nature, and we don't know what to do from here.
right.
So,
Well, and
yeah, they don't have any experience
well,
in
and
that.
but that kind of that's one of those things. It's like, well, if if you do believe in this, then yes, you have to accept the fact that um, you know standing up and fighting for it really takes on a whole new level that you need to rise to, um, if you really feel you're in the face of tyranny, because there's really only one way to overthrow tyranny. I
Hmm.
mean, that was the conclusion we came to in the 1700s, right?
Right.
So it's a, there's a lesson learned there. And Henry says, I'm not saying to have conflict with your neighbor. I'm saying we need to target the media, politicians, and the media and politicians in this information war. And I understand
Yeah.
you're not saying that. I'm only saying that that is going to be a byproduct of
Yeah.
a chaotic situation like this, because the Black Lives Matter movement showed that we had so much residual conflict among just the normal everyday citizenry. It's not even funny. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be a byproduct, and that's the part I don't like about it. To where it's like,
I mean, you and I know firsthand, losing friendships over
yes,
political
yes,
differences. Yeah.
over political differences.
Yeah.
How in the fuck do I mean, I'm sorry, but if politics are so bad that you just don't give a fuck about anybody that doesn't share your opinion, to where you got to cut
Yeah.
ties or become aggressive,
Hmm.
you need to fucking leave it alone, because
Yeah. Clearly not meant for you.
that's not what politics is about. Politics is about, it's about discussion. It's about
Right.
you know I don't know. It's not that. It's not.
Well, I mean, yeah. So what happens when you're extremely authoritarian and your ideas aren't winning on the merit? You kind of have to force it
Sauce,
as your ideology fades away into obscurity.
right? I see
Yeah.
Saucin in the house.
What's up,
Saucin.
Sauce?
So
Welcome.
Ed says, "Fuck that. I'll be like the good little lefties. I'll make the threats and demand the government back them up."
Right.
Right? Talk over the. Hilton says, "Talk over the fence
You
and hand you a dozen eggs." That's
see,
my
that's a
kind of
good
guy.
neighbor.
That's
That's what I'm
that.
talking
That's
about.
how it is, right? That's
All right, Ron, you're welcome to the compound, all right?
right. Let me
You're
tell you,
welcome.
I used to have an
Bring
ex-wife,
the
and
chickens.
my ex-wife used to get so pissed off at me. I would, I love to cook ribs, John. I would cook up
Oh yeah.
ribs or other food, and I would take part of that food, and I would go out and share with my neighbors. And my ex-wife used to get pissed off at me. She's like, "Why are you giving our food away and share?" And I'm like, "Because I wanted them to enjoy. I thought it was good. I wanted to share and let somebody else
Yeah.
enjoy it. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
what's wrong
being
with that?
neighborly, and it's
Right.
like, what the fuck is
We
wrong
don't
with
have
you?
that. We don't have that anymore in a lot of
Right?
places. Some places, I'm sure, especially the
Yeah.
more rural areas, you'll have a lot of that, but not in most places. You don't have
Right?
that anymore.
When Ron's handing me those eggs over the fence, I'll probably be handing him a fresh cup of freshly whipped cream or butter
Yeah.
at the same time, right? It's just like,
Right.
hey, that's what you do. That's the way life should be,
But you know what the problem
right?
with that is? That kind of exchange. Problem with that is it's not taxable, so it needs to go away.
And understand that that existence is predicated on the knowledge that Ron Helton is probably just the biggest asshole that I wouldn't even enjoy talking to
Right.
about anything serious. But
Right.
he's my brother, right? I
He's a
mean,
good guy. Yeah.
we're just two guys trying to get along in the world. It doesn't
Right.
matter that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about most of the time. I'm just kidding, Ron. I'm just fucking with you. I'm just using you as a metaphorical example, as a
Well,
hypothetical
that's the
example.
problem is that ever since everything like became political, you can't escape it. Like politics becomes part of people's identity. Like it's impossible to escape politics because it's literally everywhere and everything is political.
Well, it's I don't know. Ed is. What do you mean we missed your Apple hypocrisy? Did he throw some Apple
Yeah,
hypocrisy?
they've been very adamant about us addressing that apparently. So
Hmm.
I think
Yeah,
we
but
should.
but I don't know. I would have to understand exactly what hypocrisy. Apple's always been really kind of like that. Can
Yeah,
I
I'm
be?
not surprised
Let
by
me
your
be honest with you.
hypocrisy.
I'll be thoroughly honest with you. I do
Oh,
not.
good. Finally.
I do not
Oh,
use Apple devices, primarily phones. I will not get an Apple
I don't
phone
use them either. Any of
because
them.
you are completely limited in the App Store. Like I've got free reign of any kind of app
Yeah,
that I want on an Android device, but on an Apple
except for
device,
Parlor.
right? I can't go in the Apple store and find all the apps that I want. I started finding it out the last time I did have it out, and this was way back at the iPhone 3. And I'm like, I would see some advertising for an app or hear somebody talking about a game, and I go to look for it in the Apple store, and it's like, it's not there.
Yeah,
It's not allowed there. I don't know the rating, whatever the rating might have been, or it just wasn't available on the App Store. Or, it wasn't allowed on the. And I'm like, why?
yeah.
Why? I'd like a little liberty with my fucking App
Well,
Store.
see, that's the thing is a lot of people are, they want the choice to be made for them.
Mm-mm.
And there's actually a psychological phenomenon that comes with having too many choices. You're struck with indecision because of how many choices you have. But I don't think that's any reason. I mean, I guess if that's your mentality, if you have the sheep slave mentality, then you're going to be like, well, just limit me on choices so I can pick one.
I would posit that
Otherwise, I
it's
can't.
I would posit that it's my constitutional right to have free reign of free exposure to all apps available. They're violating constitutional rights by limiting the apps I have access to.
I
Just
wish
saying
that
it.
were the case. Yeah.
Prove me wrong. It's in one of those. It's in one of those amendment things.
If it's not, it should be.
Right. Elton says the election is over, so the media is not covering them anymore. We're talking about BLM. Without media coverage, they will fade away. Yeah, like if you're not getting your 5 minutes of fame, so that's what I look at what happened on Wednesday, and it's like, is that what they were? That really seemed like the main gist I got from everything that they did was they're just looking for 5 minutes of fame. That little moment of glory where they got some selfie pictures and did a little graffiti and woohoo, I'm in the main assembly floor, woohoo, got a picture of it, yay, I'm out of here.
Oh, did we talk about the Apple? Because I found the comment that he was making.
Oh, where is it? Tell me what he said.
He said, I like how Apple, who told the government to fuck off when they said they wanted a backdoor into iPhones, now says Parler is gone if they don't do draconian shit. Yeah, well, I mean, Apple's only in it for themselves, man. They don't, like, not that any other company isn't, but, yeah. They're not looking for consistency. They're not interested in consistency. They're interested in what's going to help them at the moment.
I will say this, bear in mind that the only reason why Apple told them to fuck off about the back door is so that they didn't have to openly admit that there was already a back door. Because again,
Probably.
I'll say this about Apple all the fucking time. I don't give a fuck what you say. There's always a back door.
Oh yeah, not just with Apple. Like anytime, yeah. There's always going to be a backdoor.
There
Yeah,
will always be a
yeah,
back door.
of course.
It's impossible not to have one. It will be built in,
Of
even if it's a
course.
back door behind three other back doors that are
Right,
disguised as not back doors. There's
right.
a back door.
Yep.
Don't even fucking lie to me. And that's why they told them to fuck off was because they did not want that shell of that bubble burst. You
Right.
know, it's fucking bullshit. I hated that. I thought that was just some of the most hypocritical bullshit in and of itself. Is that hypocrisy?
Yeah.
Was that hypocrisy too?
I think I can
Just that.
say the official stance of the generational gap on Apple is fuck Apple. I think we
Uh,
can say that for sure.
Ed says I like how Apple who told. Oh yeah, he.
That
Okay.
was the
Oh,
yeah. He just
I
repaid.
actually
He reposted
he
it.
reposted it. Got it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ed. I didn't mean to miss it. There's been a lot of chat going by, and I'm
It's
old,
been
and so
nice.
I
Thanks for sticking around. If
I
you
don't
have,
I don't
appreciate
think
it.
I'm
Thanks
wearing
for
my
subbing. We also got 5 new subs. So thanks, guys.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice. I like
appreciate
subs.
it.
I like subs. Italian, spicy Italian is my favorite. So
Spicy Italian is decent.
if you're a spicy Italian sub, thanks for stopping by. All the rest of you, thanks as well. Uh, Ed says as long as we have to poop, there will always be a back door. Thanks, Ed.
True.
Yeah, I wish we could get rid of that. I wouldn't mind that.
I would not mind not having to shit ever again. Like, functionally. Like I don't have to shit to function. You know, that would be pretty sweet.
Well, let me
Same with
ask you this.
eating. Like same with eating. I
Well,
don't
I was just
actually
going to say,
enjoy eating.
would you trade eating to not ever have to shit again? That's
Yeah,
always
absolutely. Pain in the
that's the
ass. It's
question.
expensive. There's no need for it. It didn't survive.
Now, But I bet you,
Probably be a little skinnier
I
too, but
bet you wouldn't trade drinking anything for not having to piss
ooh,
again.
I assume you're talking about alcohol or just everything.
I just
Never
said
having to take liquid in your
drinking.
body.
Drinking covers everything that's drunk.
No, I don't think so.
Get rid of all that, and you won't ever have to piss again either.
Ooh, that's a good one though.
No
Oh my
drinking, no
god.
eating, no shitting, no pissing.
Because drinking inevitably leads to pissing, especially if you're drinking
Yes,
alcohol. That leads to a lot of pissing.
you would have to maintain pissing if you wanted to even continue drinking alcohol.
I mean, since it is something that I already know, I probably wouldn't do that. But the eating and shitting thing for sure, I would give that up in a second. But I don't know that I would want to give up drinking
All right,
or not pissing.
but I know how to make you give it up.
How?
If the rule was okay, if you're going to continue drinking, you're also going to continue pissing, but you have to drink your own piss and recycle it because there won't be any more bathrooms.
Well, that's a completely different thing.
Now I know.
Completely
I just
different
said I
hypothetical.
figured I know a way to get you to quit drinking.
That would probably do it.
Yeah, right.
But then knowing me though, knowing me, I would get sick of not drinking, and I'll be like, you know what? I'll just do it this once, and then I'll have to drink my own piss, and
I
then I'll
could
just
just
be
see you
like,
now,
I'll just be like,
just drinking scotch
ugh,
with piss chasers.
ugh, ugh,
Drinking
no,
whiskey with piss chasers, I should say, right?
yeah, uh, maybe like a sprinkle of piss, like you do
Be
with
like,
water. You know, you put a
bartender,
little sprinkle.
give me 3 fingers of whiskey and a piss back.
That's right.
Oh my God. Uh. Ed says one of the things with Apple is they just got their asses handed to them by an immigration ban on stuff made with slave labor or slave adjacent labor. And it's something that
Slave
Beijing
adjacent.
Biden will probably reverse. Yeah, don't be surprised. But you
Yeah,
know what? I'm just going to say this. We want to talk, Ivanka Trump wasn't too far away from that business model herself.
sure.
She does a lot of manufacturing over in those Chinese country.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Asian countries. She does,
Everyone, yeah,
yeah,
everyone and their mother is though. I
right.
mean, it's not
So
like
I mean,
yeah,
she's if we gotta throw things at people, everybody gets a little bit of the mud splattered on them. It's just sad to say in the current day and age.
right. But Trump still, did
Okay.
shit to try and minimize that, even though his daughter had, whatever manufacturing plants or whatever over there. So,
All right.
and
So
even though that happened, he still did
um,
it.
we've got it. Today is the 8th. So remember, we've got 12 more days before
Yeah.
2021 officially starts. Um,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if we should
Very
officially
important.
count 2021 as having started yet, or if we're just dealing with the last of 2020 is kind of overlapping a little.
Well, I think I
As the
think
title of the
the
show said, is this which is it?
I think the election was the season finale, and then Wednesday was the season premiere.
Mm, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a dangerous thought, John. That's a dangerous thought. That's hmm. So 12 days. The next 12 days will prove everything. I think it's because anything. Well, I don't know because do we wait till after? Do we see something after the inauguration, or do we see something else happening before the inauguration? I mean, where does the
I think we
crazy
see
come in
things
next?
I think we see things happen on the 19th and 20th, and then I don't know. I don't want to make predictions because it's pretty much impossible.
Well, he's got a lot of.
Pretty much impossible to
There's
do.
a lot of people, pissed off Trump supporters right now, right? That
Yeah.
feel like they were
Mhm.
abandoned. But so that really, the reaction
And to
to
be fair, they
that,
were.
the
They were
ultimate
kind of
reaction to
abandoned.
that is going to be, well, I mean, again, it's kind of hard to sit there and go, hey, good job raiding the Capitol building, guys. Thanks for all your support.
Yeah, obviously he can't
Right,
do that. Yeah.
right. I mean, you know, not just being at in the government and worried about going to jail, but just the social outcry from people would be pretty demonstrative too, as well. Because the vocal minority is the one that would be heard. Um,
Yeah.
but so the next 12 days are going to be interesting, and then I'm going to say the first 100 days following that are going to be interesting as well because everything gets done in in those benchmark times, right? His first 100 days in office, those are everybody thinks those are so important, right? The first 100 days, the first 100 days. I
Right,
think
right.
somebody's proved to us that it doesn't matter. Hey, 100 days or 4 years,
It's not going to
shit can be
matter.
fucking crazy at any. You never know what's going to happen, right? But
Yep.
anyway, so yeah, hang on and buckle up, folks. It's going to be a
Be a
ride. I
wild
don't know,
ride.
bumpy, crazy, roller coaster. That's all stupid.
And also, I do want to say though, to whoever's still listening, I don't. I'm sure I don't have to tell my audience this, but don't do anything stupid.
Right. No,
Like that's just don't do anything fucking stupid.
we never would we would never call on anybody to do anything,
Yeah.
try and incite anything. I mean, there it's one thing to talk about the realities of the moment, but never interpret that as a call to action. That's because we're in no position to tell anybody what to fucking do. We can't even fucking take care of ourselves for the most part, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I mean that's just how it is in this world, guys. Sorry. But as far as just take care of yourselves and take care of your neighbors, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just
Yourselves, your families, your neighbors. Don't worry about. I guess. Yeah, that would be my message. Don't try and get what's happening outside of your community, what you get you down, which is
yeah,
something that I'm trying to work on
yeah.
as well, because
Don't
it's been tough,
yeah,
especially with what we're doing here as a podcast. We have to pay attention to what's going on everywhere, like consuming it constantly,
right.
and it'll drive you fucking crazy, man.
Yeah,
The
I've been
gaslighting, especially the incessant gaslighting, is
and
it's infuriating.
yeah, yeah, it's killing me that every time I sit here, sit and try and think about it, I wind up realizing that I'm pissed off at everybody. I'm pissed off
Yeah,
at everybody, right? I'm pissed off
yeah,
at both sides, all the people in between the two sides. I'm just pretty much pissed off at everybody because I don't know. I
yeah.
can't even explain why it's different reasons for being pissed off at everybody, and it's just a whole bunch of being pissed off at everybody.
Right.
It's like, ah! Shut the fuck up and let me just get on with my life.
Right.
God damn it. Damn it.
Right, just leave me alone.
Go play
But
fucking golf, people.
I just wanted to
I don't,
play video games.
right?
That old line. That's why that line sticks so well. It's a Sargon quote from like way back. He's just like, man, I just wanted to play video games. Now look what you made me do. He became like incredibly popular. Well, not overnight, obviously, it took a few years, but very quickly.
I'll t-
It's like, yeah, I didn't want to do this. I just wanted to play video games, man. Like it's so true. Yeah,
yeah, it's yeah, this whole situation. This is what it's like when you have a newborn, like with just the constant. Man, I got to change another shitty diaper. Oh shit! I've only had an hour and a half sleep. They're crying in the middle of the night. Oh fuck! Oh, I got to get up.
yeah,
Oh god! Oh god! Not again! Oh, what the hell is that? Why are they crying? Oh, they're hungry. Oh god damn it! Yeah, it's a lot like it's true. So if you don't have kids, this is what it's
this is
like.
what it's like.
Yeah, that mind-numbing crazy bullshit in your head. All right, we're gonna get the hell out of here, John. Tell these people where they can find our beautiful faces and hear our
Yes,
wonderful words.
absolutely. I'll do that. On your way down to the description, you can hit that like and subscribe button. It's all there. We appreciate the new subs that we got today. That's pretty awesome. So thanks if you're still around. Thanks for sticking around. And if you want to follow us elsewhere, go down into our description where we have all of our links to our stuff, such as our Twitter, which is at the Gym Gap P. Hopefully, we're flying under the radar there too. We'll stick around. We've got our Discord server, which is a lot of fun, a lot of cool people in there. You'll like it a lot, I promise. And we've got Subscribestar. Want to help support us? Want to help us keep doing this and do it more often? Doing it full time would be fun. You can donate to us there, and we got a bunch of perks over there as well. So you're not just giving us money just for us to exist. We're offering you something in return. And then we've got freedomscoop.com, where you
Freedom
can find
scoop.
all of our stuff. and other and lesser and unimportant creators like J. Edgar and Stephen Ignoramus, uh, Wyatt, the breakdown with Birkenhoff. We got Already Conservative and the Freckles and Rich Show is over there as well. So make sure you check them out. And while you're over there, make sure you get our merch. We got t-shirts, we got mugs. You get your mug. And yes, we got t-shirts, we got mugs, and if you put in the code GenGap at checkout, you get 15% off your purchase.
It's all right
So
down
that's
there,
pretty
folks.
cool.
Just look.
Right, all of it right there.
Right after you hit the like button, it's right down below that.
Yep.
Somewhere down there. All right, so and you know what? I when I said wonderful words, it sparked something that I wanted to remind you about, and I'll let anybody know that wants to hear it. On Netflix, I gotta throw out a good movie to check out. Um, for anybody who likes words, who likes the English language,
Oh god,
whatever.
I watched this last night.
Oh, did you? The Professor
Yeah.
and the Madman?
Oh no, I thought you were talking about the
No.
history of swear words
Oh,
or
I've been
something
watching that too, and it's pretty good. But
with Nick Cage.
there's a movie out on that's been dropped on Netflix. It's called The Professor and the Madman. It's Mel Gibson and Sean Penn, and it is about the first writing of the Oxford English Dictionary
Oh, that's cool.
and everything that the the basically the 70-year history of the writing of the book because it took him 70 years. But Mel Gibson, I forget the name. Now I'm, my age, the name, I'm trying to remember his name. But anyway, he plays a great character in it. Sean Penn is phenomenal in it. It is a little bit dry because of, the base, the context of the movie, everything,
Yeah.
right? They're building a dictionary. So it's not like there's going to be a lot of action and drama, except Sean Penn is playing a madman, and he
Right.
does a really fucking good job of it. He's a little off his nut, but anyway, I
Good for
strongly
him.
recommend it.
Yeah.
The Professor and the Madman. Jump on Netflix and check it out if you haven't. It's
There you
really
go.
good. All right, we're going to get the hell out of here. We are going to be coming back at you on Monday night. We're looking for a little bit of fill in that gap. See if we can have bring a little humor to your week in the middle of all this madness. That'll be at 9:30 p.m. We'll also be back again on Wednesday for another rousing episode of Shooting the Shit. That comes to you at 9:30 p.m. as well. And then finally, we'll be back a week from now on Friday for our normal show at 8:30 p.m., just like tonight. All of those times are Eastern time zone, the one and only true time zone, unlike the rest of you, which are just a bunch of posers. Um,
Losers.
until we are back at you again, please, like we said, keep yourselves and everyone around you that you care about safe. Don't do anything crazy. Let's just try and figure this out. In the best possible way we can. Until then, we're going to get the hell out of here. John, thanks for stopping by. Folks, thanks for being here with us tonight. And we're out of here. Peace.
See you guys.
The war will begin.